Hello, my friends. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a vast, golden ocean of sand. The sun is hot on your shoulders, and the wind carries a soft, dry whistle. In the distance, rising out of the heat, you see them. Huge, silent, and strong. They are the pyramids of Egypt. Have you ever wondered what stories these stones could tell? They have stood in this desert for over 4,500 years. They have seen the rise and fall of empires. They have watched the stars move across the sky for millions of nights. To us, they look like mountains made by human hands. But to the people who built them, they were much more than just stone. Today, we are going to take a journey back in time. We will leave our modern world of cars and computers behind. We will travel to a time when the Nile River was the heart of the world. It was a time of powerful kings, brilliant builders, and a deep belief in the magic of life after death. The pyramids are one of the greatest mysteries in human history. How did people build such giant structures without modern machines? Why did they work so hard under the hot sun? And what lies hidden deep inside those dark, narrow passages? As we walk through the sands together, let's listen to the whispers of the past. Let's try to understand the people who lived so long ago. Their dreams were not so different from ours. They wanted to be remembered. They wanted to find a way to live forever. So, come with me. Let us step into the shadows of the giants and discover the story of the ancient Egyptian pyramids. To understand the pyramids, we must understand how the ancient Egyptians saw the world. For them, life on Earth was only the beginning. They believed that when a person died, their spirit, which they called the Ka, continued to live. But the Ka needed a place to stay. It needed a home that would last forever. Imagine if you were a pharaoh, a king of Egypt. In those days, the pharaoh was not just a leader. People believed the pharaoh was a god on earth. He was the bridge between the people and the heavens. Because the pharaoh was so important, his death was a very significant event. He needed a tomb that was as grand as his life. The Egyptians believed that if the pharaoh's body was protected, and if his name was remembered, he would live forever in the field of reeds. This was their version of paradise. To get there, the king needed a stargate, or a ladder to the sky. This is what the pyramid represented. Its shape, reaching up to the sun, was like a ramp for the king's soul. Building a pyramid was a way for the whole country to honor their god-king. It was a giant project that brought everyone together. They used stone because stone is permanent. Wood rots and mud bricks crumble, but stone lasts for eternity. They wanted to build houses of eternity. Do you think you would want to live forever? For the Egyptians, the answer was a clear yes. They did not fear death as an end. Instead, they saw it as a journey to a beautiful new world. The pyramids were the starting point for that great journey. They were built to make sure the king and the land of Egypt would never be forgotten. Long before the famous smooth pyramids were built, tombs looked very different. They were flat, rectangular buildings made of mud bricks. These were called mastabas. They were simple and sat low to the ground. But one king, a man named Djoser, wanted something better. He wanted something that touched the clouds. King Djoser had a very smart advisor named Imhotep. Imhotep was a doctor, a writer, and a builder. He had a brilliant new idea. Instead of building just one flat tomb, why not stack them? He decided to build one mastaba, then a smaller one on top, and another on top of that. When he was finished, it looked like a giant set of stairs leading to heaven. This was the step pyramid of Saqqara. It was the first large building in the world made entirely of stone. Imagine the people's faces when they saw it. They had never seen anything so tall or so strong. It changed everything. Imhotep became a legend for this invention. He showed the Egyptians that they could build with heavy stone if they were organized and creative. This first pyramid was like a laboratory. The builders learned how to cut stone, how to move it, and how to make it stay in place. It was the grandmother of all the pyramids that came later. Have you ever tried to build something new that no one had done before? It takes courage to be the first. King Djoser and Imhotep had that courage. Because of their step pyramid, the kings who came after them began to dream even bigger. They wanted their tombs to be even taller and the sides to be perfectly smooth. The race to the stars had begun. As the years went by, the pyramids grew larger and more perfect. This brings us to the most famous place in Egypt, the Giza Plateau. Here, the desert meets the sky, and 3 massive pyramids stand in a row. These were built for 3 kings, Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaura. The largest of them all is the Great Pyramid of Khufu. For thousands of years, it was the tallest building on Earth. It is made of over 2 million blocks of stone. Each block is very heavy, some weigh as much as an elephant. When it was first finished, it was covered in white limestone. It would have shined like a diamond under the Egyptian sun. Next to it is the pyramid of his son, Khafra. It looks even taller because it sits on higher ground. Guarding these tombs is the Great Sphinx, a giant statue with the body of a lion and the head of a king. It is like a silent guard, watching the horizon and protecting the secrets of the kings. Can you imagine the scale of these buildings? If you walked around the base of the Great Pyramid, you would walk almost a kilometer. The precision is also amazing. The 4 sides of the pyramid point almost perfectly to north, south, east, and west. The builders did not have GPS or modern tools, yet they were more accurate than many builders today. These pyramids represent the golden age of Egypt. It was a time of great wealth and power. But they were not just symbols of power. They were symbols of what humans can achieve when they work together toward a single goal. Even today, standing in their shadow makes you feel very small, yet very proud of what people can do. Now we come to the question everyone asks: how? How did ancient people move these giant stones? They did not have trucks. They did not have cranes. They did not even have iron tools or the wheel. It seems like magic, doesn't it? But the truth is even more impressive than magic. It was all about hard work and clever thinking. Archaeologists believe the Egyptians used ramps made of mud and brick. These ramps spiraled around the pyramid or went straight up one side. Workers used thick ropes to pull the heavy stones up these ramps on wooden sleds. But wait, how do you pull a heavy sled over dry sand? It's very difficult, right? The Egyptians had a simple trick. They poured a little bit of water on the sand in front of the sled. This made the sand slippery, like ice. It made it much easier to pull the stones. They also used copper chisels and saws to cut the stone. It took a long time and a lot of muscle, but they were very patient. They also used the stars to align the pyramids. By watching the movements of the night sky, they could find true north with incredible accuracy. They were masters of math and geometry. They knew how to make the angles perfect so the pyramid wouldn't lean or fall over. It wasn't just about strength, it was about organization. Thousands of people had to work at the same time. There were managers, architects, and stonecutters. There were people to make the ropes and people to bring food. It was like a giant, perfectly timed dance. Does it surprise you that they could do all this with such simple tools? It shows us that the human brain is the most powerful tool of all. For a long time, Hollywood movies showed us a different story. They showed thousands of slaves being whipped to build the pyramids. But today, we know that is not true. The people who built the pyramids were not slaves. They were respected workers, farmers, and craftsmen. Most of these workers were farmers. During the time of year when the Nile River flooded the fields, they couldn't grow crops, so they went to work for the pharaoh. In return for their work, the king gave them food, clothes, and a place to live. It was like a national service. They were proud to help build the eternal home of their god-king. Archaeologists have found the remains of the builders' village near Giza. They found bakeries that could make thousands of loaves of bread every day. They found evidence that the workers ate good meat and drank plenty of beer. They even found medical records showing that workers received surgery and care if they were hurt on the job. These workers lived together with their families. They were craftsmen who took great pride in their skill. We can see their names written in graffiti on some of the stones inside the pyramids. They called themselves the Friends of Khufu, or the Drunkards of Menkore. They had a sense of humor and a sense of community. When we look at the pyramids, we shouldn't just think of the kings. We should think of the thousands of ordinary people, people like you and me, who spent their lives moving those stones. Their hands touched every inch of that rock. The pyramids are a monument to the common worker, just as much as they are a monument to the pharaoh. What is it like inside a pyramid? If you were to walk inside today, you would find it very different from the outside. It is dark, cool, and very quiet. The air feels heavy with age. There are narrow, low tunnels where you have to crawl on your hands and knees. It feels like a giant stone maze. Deep in the heart of the Great Pyramid is the King's Chamber. It is a simple room made of dark red granite stone. Inside, there is a stone box called a sarcophagus. This is where the king's body was placed. But today, the box is empty. The treasures and the king's body are gone, taken by tomb robbers long ago. Why were there so many tunnels and fake rooms? The Egyptians knew that people might try to steal the gold and jewels buried with the king, so they built traps and hidden doors. Some rooms were there just to confuse thieves. They wanted the king to rest in total peace and silence forever. The walls of some later pyramids were covered in beautiful writing called hieroglyphics. These were pyramid texts, magic spells and prayers to help the king find his way through the underworld. They described how the king would turn into a star or sail across the sky with the sun god Ra. Some people believe in mummies' curses, but that is mostly just stories from movies. The real treasure of the pyramids isn't gold or magic spells. The real treasure is the information they give us about the past. Every stone and every drawing tells us a story about what the Egyptians loved, what they feared, and what they hoped for. The pyramids have been standing for a very, very long time. Think about this. When Cleopatra was queen of Egypt, the pyramids were already 2,000 years old. They were ancient even to the ancient people. Today, they are the only wonder of the ancient world that is still standing. Time has changed them, of course. In the past, they were covered in smooth white limestone that reflected the light. People later took that limestone to build houses and mosques in the city of Cairo. That is why the pyramids look a bit rough today. They used to have golden caps on the very top, but those were stolen too. Today, the pyramids are a place of wonder for the whole world. Millions of tourists travel from every country to see them. Scientists still use modern technology, like muon scans, which are like X-rays for buildings, to look for hidden rooms that we haven't found yet. Even now, the pyramids are still giving up their secrets. They have become a symbol of Egypt, but also a symbol of humanity. They remind us that our time on Earth is short, but the things we create can live on. They represent the human spirit's desire to reach for the stars and to build something that lasts. When people see the pyramids, they don't just see stone. They see a dream that came true. What do you think the builders would say if they could see us today? They would probably be surprised that we are still talking about them. They would be happy to know that their king's name is still spoken. In a way, they succeeded. They built something that defeated time itself. Our journey through the sands is coming to an end. We have seen the first steps of King Djoser. We have walked in the shadow of the Great Pyramid of Giza. We have met the workers who ate bread and beer and moved mountains. We have looked into the dark chambers where kings hoped to find eternal life. The story of the pyramids is not just a story of Egypt. It is a story about us. It is about the human heart. It is about the questions we all ask. Where do we go when we die? How will we be remembered? Can we do something truly great if we work together? The Egyptians answered these questions with stone and sweat. Standing before these giants at sunset, as the sky turns purple and orange, you feel a deep sense of peace. The world is very old, and we are only a small part of it. But like the builders of the pyramids, we have the power to create beauty and to dream of the future. The pyramids are a bridge. They connect the ancient past to our modern world. They remind us that despite all our technology, we are still the same curious, hard-working people we were 4,000 years ago. We are still builders. We are still dreamers. We are still looking at the stars. So, my friends, as you leave the desert today, take a piece of this wonder with you. Remember that no mountain is too high to move if you have a plan and a community. The whispers from the sands tell us one simple thing. Nothing is impossible. Thank you for traveling through time with me. The pyramids will be here, waiting for the next thousands of years.